Welcome to another stream of so stuff. Did a lot on two. As you can see here, we have a 3D model mushroom. Kind of looks bottom corner at the bottom corner on that side. You might see which I think that's what we're trying to go for, or um yeah. So rather than modeling entire 3D model myself, I actually and this is the original, but I don't like. I'm gonna make some change and create basically color over this. Go here and go to the image edit. Welcome. So over here you can see the UV map of our creature, and you can basically save the image, save your UV.
Oh no, it's cutting out a bit.
Cool.
Remember that?
All right.
Remember.
All right, and we're back. So I have to speak up a bit more. That's because usually it sounds louder to me than to whoever's listening. So I have to keep that in mind. Talking sounds louder to you. You're actually not. You're quiet, and yeah. So this little guy is basically the original model. We're just gonna basically paint over our mushroom our own style. Get to it. So have our original file, which looks really mean, and we want to fix it. Something that so over here, I can call up the texture paint. I'm gonna use gradient, go over the entire color palette like that. So right now we have a really base model template gradient, and texture is different from. I can call it back up, but So we have our UV map again. For this process, I'm basically going to our brush tool. Texture drawing is usually having a text. Oh. Alright, we're still gonna again, I'm going to paint out the spots I want to have the main feature. So if I want the eyes, just to get the general box. The entire model. So I'm just gonna get like a sense of what I want. All these colors. Lock in. Looks kind of scary right now. Let's look at it. That's kind of which okay for now. I'm missing. Oh, don't worry. We will be able. Right now, I'm just adding a bit more. Basically, I'm just adding an overlay of color. Right. More life compared to a doll. And again, I'm using the thing here, adding the eye. Again, we're adding the main parts up. Blocking it really basic art creature. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Over here we can fix all the minor details a bit later on. So we're just gonna continue with what we're doing right now and looking at the eyes of our cute little mushroom at the bottom right corner. It has green eyes, so I'm going to fill in with green eyes. So again, don't worry about the details first. We're just gonna block in all the parts we need. So I think I messed up a bit here. The creature has to look kind of like a fish eye, but not there yet. Kind of like that. Okay, that seems about right. We're just gonna darken the pupils, center of the pupil, just like how we have it in the bottom corner. Again, we're just going to really focus on the bigger parts compared to the tiny detail, because we can always go back to the details if we wanted to. So let's have that there, looking okay. I'm gonna fix here this part. Looks kind of like a fish without the if you don't imagine all the mushroom. And you can one cool trick here is that you can use the stroke method, and you can make it into a line, and that way you can just draw a line across like that. I think it's not that good. Okay, maybe that's better, or like downwards. Okay, cool. And now we have our eyes basically not done, just blocked out. We want to block out different parts too, so we know. Same for the arm. I think we have something like underneath here. No, we don't. Or do we? Do we have something here? I'm looking at the image at the bottom right, that tiny mushroom. I guess we can focus on the mouth first, so let's do that. We're going to basically sample the color here, make it slightly darker. When you lower the shade of your color, looks like a mustache. We could make it a mustache. I mean, we can easily just undo it. Again, make sure your stroke method is changed back to space. Kind of like that. We can also make the hat into like the mushroom cap into a hat. That'd be pretty funny. Like a costume. People can like get costumes of different Moogu. So like if they want their Moogu to be entirely of mushroom Moogus, that'd be pretty funny. That'd be cool too. So over here, I'm trying to basically get the mouth to be shaded a bit more, just because I want to be able to identify where the mouth is. So when I later on fix everything in Photoshop, it's a lot easier. Kind of want to make the teeth a bit more. Zooming in, zooming in. It's always kind of horrifying to zoom in to these, just because 3D models are, still made out of pixels and polygons. So when you like stretch the polygons into something your computer basically, or the model can't basically when you have like an image and you zoom way too far in, you get all these pixels. Same with like a 3D model, you have a lot of polygons, and if you zoom way too far in, it just doesn't look good, I mean, it looks kind of scary to a point. But again, you have to do it. So just keep doing that. So over here I have the mouth kinda done. I'm trying to keep it simple just because we're starting out, and if we want more complicated texturing, say like more depth to it, we can, but that comes in a bit later. Right now we're adding a lot more just basically we're just adding a lot more color and fixes to it. We're not really thinking too much about the details. We're thinking a lot more about just how your creature feels generally. So right now I'm painting his bottom a bit more, the feet to be more yellow. I have an overlay, so I think the bottom of his feet is actually a bit more yellow, right? Over on this spot. Kind of like that. And that's just how like fungus or mushroom kind of work. They look kind of gross. Sorry. They look kind of gross, like in a sense that they're like in the wild and they've been growing and facing a lot of basically harsh environments, and they just stick to the trees. So I'm thinking about all that while I'm doing this, like what makes a mushroom. Like right now it looks like the mushroom is kind of like really heated in the head just because of this spot. So we're gonna tone down a bit. No. Why did it fly away? I think it's the brush, the tablet I'm using. Again, I'm gonna sample the color here. Just going to lightly paint this part of the mushroom. Lightly painted, just really lightly painted. Again, same for here. Really lightly, just paint like Bob. Just really gently paint in your colors. Trying to find things to say, but at the same time I'm trying to focus on getting the 3D model to look kind of cool. I haven't done this much, to be honest, like 3D modeling stuff. Not I don't do it often, so this is kind of new to me, kind of. Again, under the mushroom, but I still want to keep the gradient effect. Like I like it, a bit of the gradient, so I'm gonna keep it kind of like that. I think the eye part looks a bit too yellow for now, so I might tone that down. So let's go inside and tone down the yellow. here. We have to blend in the top. Blending in, you can still kind of see two dots, like really faint. I'm gonna fix that. Cool. I think I have to fix the line here, making the teeth look more like the teeth that it had. I don't remember the original, so I'm actually gonna go into the UV image editor, and I'm going to basically image, save a copy. So instead of calling it POG, I'm gonna call it POG Photoshop, PS for Photoshop. I'm gonna save as image. And now if I import, basically if I import a new texture, let me see if I can find the texture here. I can add link data. So I'm actually going to create a new one where I'm going to open the original texture and see what we have. So the original texture actually has the teeth like that. And we have our new image. Let's add a new one. So we're gonna open another one. Photoshop. So that's our original, and this is our own. Really different. One looks cuter, one looks meaner. So we're gonna fix up all the details. Like the details I'm talking about are just basically the lines at around the eye area to make it look more defined in a sense. Same with the teeth, which I have to fix. Also at the bottom here, all these details, minor details, and at the top, we can always like go back and forth. That's always a good idea too. So he looks like he's just in shock all the time, you know, which is kind of funny, but also cute at the same time. So over here, I have Photoshop open, and I'm going to open up my image. And over here on my image, I can basically, I'm gonna create a new copy just so I can refer back to the original if I wanted to. And I'm going to do some editing with the layer. So just super fine detail. Again, you don't have to be like 100% accurate, just because we're seeing how it could look like. But still, we have to keep it as clean as possible. Over here, I'm using a 20% opacity right now, just to blend things together. I want to keep the details like a bit more like refined, and see how it looks. We also have to think about the UV and how the polygons or the vertices are in our 3D model. I don't know if I'm using the terms correctly. This is basically an unwrapped UV of the model, and I'm just painting away right now. I mean, I think I can see a lot of like uses for these kind of stuff. Like you can make it a lot more artistic by just painting in a really unique style. Here I'm just trying to get the parts to be done just to see how it looks before we continue with more stuff. So if you want like a really I guess fun style, you can also like change the color to, again, hue, to be a really different color. Like you can change it to, I think purple might look pretty good, cool. You can just change all the colors like that. You can also change the saturation. So not saturation, the contrast. That's the word. Like if you want it to be more pastel, then all the darker colors have to be a lot grayer. Just like that. And over here we're gonna add in a bit more stuff. We're gonna fix some parts, like this part. We can fix like, okay, I actually don't know this part how it would look like, but let's hope it'll look good. Like right now it still looks kind of pixelated, and I reckon if I were to import it back in, it would look kind of messy. And again, I think we have to like fix it back and forth, just because I'm not used to this, not as much at least. I think you can do a painter, like a painterly style. So I'm gonna Command S and save it as a PNG, and I'm gonna name it Edit, just so I have the original reference as well as this one. So over here I have my image, and I'm going to add another image. Open image, and open. Now it really looks different in a way, which I feel is kind of like a bad difference. I don't like this. I mean, it looks kind of evil because with the color scheme purple and green, that's usually how like evil is associated with, like purple, green, all that, like glowing, neon green, all that glowing, like really venom kind of color scheme, poison. But you see here with the black outline, I feel like it's not as clean as I want it to be. And that's also because of the model being not the high poly. It's kind of a low poly one. So if we zoom into this one, all the pixels are still kind of like not that good as well. But it's definitely a lot cleaner than what we have, which is a problem. I think the main problem is just because of how unrefined our line is. Whoops. Let me try to add I think the color needs to be changed. Sorry. Let me go back to my 3D model. So over here we imported our edit image, so you can see the lines appearing and the color changing. So we have a more defined eyeball now, but compared to the original, I feel like it's not as defined, right? So we have to maybe define the lines more. Let's do that in Photoshop. So we're gonna go back to Photoshop and we're gonna define the lines a lot more this time. So I'm gonna go for a darker color, which is I'm gonna actually go for just almost black, but not yet. And I'm just going to look at the mistakes I have in my 3D model and fix it from there. So like if we're really and if we feel kind of more ambitious, we can do a more stylistic approach, meaning we can do like it might not look as good, but let's try it out and see how it works. So I'm just gonna make a new layer, and I'm just going to like basically make this a painterly kind of skin. If that makes sense. So like that. Again, it might not come out good just because of the polygon and how everything stretches. You really need to know like you really need to know what you're painting, like where exactly you're painting, if you're doing like a more painterly style kind of thing, which I am trying here. And there's no harm in trying, so always go for trying, and if it fails, then just learn from it. It's better than to not know and always stick with the same things. So I'm going slightly more painterly right now, like over in this part, just really more strokes in the color. So again, I think the reason why not a lot of 3D artists do like painterly style is just because it doesn't suit that well. Like it doesn't match a lot of things that in the 3D model. I mean, which makes sense, right? Because if you think about it, a 3D model is supposed to be kind of smooth and it has like the 3D aesthetic. But if you put like a 2D thing into it, it'll look kind of out of place. And I think a lot of like newer shows or newer technology mixes the two, which is they mix the two, which is really good. Sometimes it just look kind of bad, but that's my opinion. Again, if you ever hear my streams, don't listen to my opinion. Um, Especially for things like this. So I'm gonna overwrite the edit, replace it, yes, and I'm gonna go back to my Blender and just re-import the image. Reload. Uh, it looks really sad right now. Like, I think the colors are a bit off, but definitely the eyeball is closer to what we want, just like the circle. I think it has to be more 3D, like the painting has to be more 3D. I don't know if it's the lighting or just the way I painted it. So we're gonna go back to Photoshop again and fix it. So let's get the problem with it was the eyeball didn't look as 3D. So let's fix that. I think the colors need to be more solid. Like they're blending too much into each other. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna add more colors into it, like more solid color. So right now I'm trying to get the color to be more vibrant in a sense. Yeah, just because the 3D model that we had wasn't really vibrant. Let me see what we can do. So I think over here, over here, we can definitely try to add a bit more color, different color to it. Whoops. Let's try that and see how it looks. Going to save. Again, I'm going to save as the overwrite the image. Go back to Blender. Look at our really gross creature. We're just gonna add in one more. Whoops. Cancel. We're gonna cancel this. Just gonna resync it, and that looks a lot nicer, I think, in my opinion, from what we had before. So that was our image. This is the really original image, and then we have this, which is our take on it, and then this is more defined. I think we still have to like really separate the colors between the eyeball, because they're blending into each other too much. But I think it's a really good like start now. Like if we look at this image, all the colors are really separate, but we kind of want to blend in most of the parts. You can kind of see the arms are a bit like off color just because we added a blue tint to our mushroom. Yeah. Now we can start adding more, slightly more colors to the top, which I think would really spice things up. So let's add in some, whoops, material, texture paint, UV edit. Again, we need to pick our UV here. Whoops. We are just going to add in the colors. See if we can even add in the color. What's going on? Whoops. Show alpha. Sync our image. There we go. Nope. We're just going to add more color to it. have to be kind of careful over here now, because we want like a glowing effect. With the glowing effect, I think we do need to have like another separate file, which is for the emitter, I think it's called, something to basically make the your model glow. You have to like tell which part of your 3D model is glowing, and I don't know if that's what we want. So I'm gonna try to at least have something like that. And if we don't, that's fine, completely fine. We are just going to try at least to get something similar. Again, working in 2D space is really different from 3D most of the time, right? Just checking the angles. Did I miss any part? I missed some of it here. And now I'm just gonna go back, sample this color, and really fix the tiny parts here. So bear with me. At this point, I think it's better to actually paint on your UV map, just because when you know exactly where each part is, you can just isolate it in Photoshop rather than painting it here, which you still kind of see like a bit of it if you're not careful. But right now I'm just trying to like get it to look okay most of the parts. So I'm gonna go check here on my UV editor. You can see like these are the parts. Well, this is obviously the mushroom, and that's the diamond. I don't know what they're called actually. I think it's just a diamond, I guess. Cool, and we'll be right back with the colors. So let's go back to our Photoshop. Actually, we have to export our UV. So image, save image, and we have it saved. Perfect. And now I'm gonna basically re-import the image. No. Open. Over here we have our UV map again. Perfect. In Photoshop this time. So again, we're gonna go through the same procedure. I know this is the mushroom top. So I'm just going to color over these, fix it. Fix these part. I think sometimes it might be a good idea if you want like to fake a glowing kind of thing. No, that would be a bad idea. Do not take that into my into the advice. So over here, I'm just going to. I know this is probably what the mushroom is, the top of the mushroom. So I'm just gonna color all this. I know if I add in more like gradient to it, it might I might be able to fake it to think it's glowing. Like if I add a white, kind of like that, or like that, and then I just duplicate the layer, blend it in a different way. Darken, no. Which one was it? That one looks pretty good. And we might want to change the color just so slightly. Ever so slightly. And over here, same thing for the mushroom. So I'm going to select this, this. Actually, I'm going to select this, this part, this part. Over here, 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 here. Cool. And now I'm just going to make a new layer. So once I color pick, once I color pick this one, I can also change the color a bit more. So it doesn't have to be like a full purple. Be kind of like that. No. And then we add in a bit more red to it just because I feel like it's lacking in a bit of red. So again, whoops. So kind of like that. I feel like it's still maybe a bit more pastel red. Kind of like that. All right, now go ahead and save it again. I'm gonna overwrite this. Yes, overwrite it. I think there's a better way to do this, like a more fast, like a more straightforward way. But this is the way that I have discovered. So over here we have our image. I feel like the light bulb could be a bit more. So back here we imported our image to our 3D model, and it looks slightly different, just really slightly. I think red is a bit not the color we want, so I'm gonna go ahead and change it back in our Photoshop. So let's do that. Let's go back to our Photoshop and let's change the color to orange. Cool, and let's change all the lights. I feel like all the lights should be kind of changed. And over here, I'm gonna fix the light bulb. I mean, not the light bulb. What am I saying? The eyeball a bit more. So just like darken the pupil a lot more than it is. And same for the eyeball. I'm gonna add in more green, just because I feel like it wasn't popping up as much. I want to add in a bit more like darker parts of the eye to make it look more 3D. Over here, I think the eyeball could be slightly like colored, if that makes sense. So I'm using the lasso tool just to get like approximately what we want. Um, just like that, kind of, almost. And I'm just gonna really slightly add in um, a bit of gray, in a sense. And cool, let's import back to our image, our 3D model, and see how that looks. So after doing that, let's go back. So this is our model, and we're going to import our image again. So refresh. And I think orange looks a bit funky, which could also work. I mean, it really depends on what we want to create. I think we can also like just change the hues here, right? I forgot how, but there is a way. Texture right here, color. So we can actually adjust the colors here and see for ourselves. I guess it's not reflecting on the real time. But anyway, the whole concept here is to basically paint over our 3D model, and I think with some lighting we could make it look a lot nicer. I don't have a lighting here, so you can't see anything. But with lighting, we can make this base model look a lot more appealing. Same with the lights at the top. Yeah. So after all those tiny tweaks, just adding, giving him eyeliner and all this makeup makeover, uh, our mushroom guy is um, closer to what we want. There's still a long way, obviously, but we're getting there with the knowledge we have. Uh, Painting on 3D model now. I think eyeliner can make anybody look better, but who knows? Eyeliner is the future. Um, so yeah, thanks for tuning in for today's stream. Um, Hope you stay for the next design process, and we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in.